My parents forced me out at 18, claiming, "Your sibling needs the opportunities, not you." They handed him my education savings, my bedroom, and my vehicle. So I departed with just a phone at half battery. Years afterward, my brother entered a job discussion. And his grin disappeared when he noticed who was positioned opposite him. Hello Reddit. Disposable account, since my relatives still monitor my primary one. I'm Aria, 22F, and I truly never imagined I'd share here, but following the events of last week, I believe I understand now. This is what occurred. From childhood, my parents made it obvious who counted. My brother, Liam, now 21M, was their prized kid from his birth. I was the reserved type. Not talented enough, not sporty, not the standout. Liam? He was all of it. If I returned with an A, they'd question why it wasn't an A+. If Liam barely passed with a C, they celebrated with a gathering. It worsened after my 18th. My goal was always university. I'd labored, accumulated, even secured a partial award. I wasn't counting on much from my parents, but I assumed the modest education fund my deceased grandmother established for me would handle at least texts and lodging. But no. The day following my 18th birthday, my mother passed me 2 packets. One was torn open, my admission notice to my ideal institution, with funding rejected marked across the front in my father's script. The other was an empty sheet. My dad merely shrugged and stated, "Your brother merits the opportunities and not you. Appreciate that we allowed your presence this long." In a week, I was gone. Liam shifted into my bedroom, claimed my vehicle, yes, the pre-owned Honda my grandma bequeathed me, and evidently, my education fund as well, because abruptly, he was preparing for his path, enjoying gap periods, discovering himself using my reserves. I exited with a knapsack, a phone at half charge, and sufficient in my account for one evening at a cheap inn. My parents never glanced back. Nor did I. How? I arrived here, not a brief tale at all. Those initial months almost shattered me. I stayed on pals' sofas, took on extra hours at a round-the-clock eatery, and cleaned plates at a pub for remaining food. My vehicle was lost, so I walked or rode the overnight transit everywhere. Certain evenings, I rested in the storage area of the eatery. I learned to extend $12 over 3 days. Yet, I maintained focus on university. I handled the night shift, then attended sessions at the nearby community institution during daylight. Each term, I pleaded for awards, submitted for every minor aid, and even online funded course materials. My grades were my anchor, so I guarded them fiercely. I connected with instructors and accepted every practical training I could, even without pay, if it involved gaining actual knowledge. My major opportunity arrived at the close of second year, when a frequent customer at the eatery caught me assisting a colleague fix their old computer. Turns out, he was a supervisor at an expanding tech firm. He proposed a summer practical position, not from sympathy, but because I'd repaired his child's device without charge a week before and he appreciated my approach. That practical role evolved into a part-time position. I continued balancing employment and studies, and post-graduation, with no relatives at my event, they hired me permanently. I began in customer assistance, then task oversight, and then, due to a major efficiency initiative I managed nearly alone, my superior placed me in command of a minor group. Now, at 22, I was the junior-most task leader at our firm, relied upon to assess potential employees. So when the recruitment coordinator sent me the applicant roster for our vacant task manager position, I nearly chuckled. There it was, Liam Carter. Identical surname, identical arrogant profile image on professional network. I entered the meeting room, document in hand, pulse racing for motives I couldn't pinpoint. The door swung open. Liam marched in, full of assurance. He was midway through his practiced greeting when he spotted me. His grin faded. That's when the true account started. Liam halted, arm partially outstretched, as if his mind was buffering. For an instant, I genuinely pitied him. He appeared precisely as I'd felt 4 years prior, bewildered, caught off guard, like the foundation had moved without alert. He attempted to regroup. Aria? What are you up to here? I eyed the sheet before me, his document, already wrinkled from my firm hold. I am employed here, I replied, tone steady. And today, I'm part of the assessment team. I vow, the hue left his cheeks. He surveyed the opposite side of the table, perhaps wishing someone would intervene and rescue him. No. The chief recruiter simply signaled to begin. He took a seat, shifting uncomfortably. The arrogant vibe he'd always had at home vanished. For the initial occasion ever, Liam seemed anxious. We proceeded with the formalities. Describe yourself. What qualifies you for this? Explain a difficulty you conquered. His responses were superficial. Plenty of group contributor chatter, some hazy tale about heading a university group. I knew he'd abandoned it after 2 sessions. He skimmed over large resume voids, likely the periods he was using my education fund, exploring himself. When I inquired about tech initiatives, he faltered. The recruiter delved into his background, but Liam mainly attempted humor or connections. I understood he'd never needed to validate himself earlier. At home, all was provided. Here? Differently. Then my opportunity. I gazed directly at him. Can you describe an instance you handled an initiative under strict timeline with limited aid? He paused. For a moment, I detected a hint of something, perhaps shame. I, generally received assistance from my group. I acknowledged, jotting notes, maintaining composure. Internally, my palms trembled. Post-interview, Liam waited. He held until the recruiter departed, then faced me. Arya, hear me out. I was unaware you'd. I interrupted. You were unaware I'd what? Labor? Attempt? Endure? He stared at the ground. Mom and Dad, they never mentioned what became of you. They claimed you simply departed. I nearly chuckled. Yes, I departed when they presented you my existence. He attempted remorse, but it rang hollow. If I'd realized, I would have spoken up. I rose, collecting my notes. You never inquired, Liam. You never needed to. He gazed at me, powerless for the initial time in his life. Do you believe I stand a shot? I halted at the door, locking eyes. I believe you should begin by deserving one. And with that, I exited, abandoning him in the identical shocked quiet I'd experienced at 18. The remaining assessment group noticed what I did. Liam wasn't prepared. He failed the skill evaluation, couldn't respond to fundamental task queries, and attempted to fake through unknowns. The recruiter appreciated my conduct later, but I sensed their interest, identical surname, identical strained quiet at the close. I lacked ultimate decision, but I did record my observations truthfully. Applicant missing background, incapable of showing necessary abilities. Requires substantial growth. That evening, my device began vibrating, initially with an unfamiliar contact, then with a series of urgent messages from a digit I hadn't viewed in ages. My mother. Mom. Liam said you embarrassed him at some employment discussion? Mom. How dare you treat your own sibling this way after all we provided you? Mom, you're so unappreciative. It all rushed back, the evening I departed, the secured entrance, the manner they distributed my path like loose change. I sensed my torso constrict. But I didn't respond. Moments later, Liam phoned. Voice message. He sounded diminished from memory. Arya, I realize you likely despise me. I'm remorseful, I just. Mom and Dad portrayed it as if you were thriving. I was oblivious it was that severe. I'm remorseful I claimed your items. I was young. I was foolish. I pondered that for a time. Was he truly remorseful? Or merely frantic now that the easy path ended? By dawn, my relatives' messaging group, which I'd silenced long before, was exploding, notes from relatives, uncles, even my father, who hadn't uttered my name since the day I left. Dad, you always complicated matters. All you needed was to support your sibling. And Linda, can't you release the history? He's your sibling. The reality was, I'd already released it. I constructed a fresh existence from zero. But now that Liam's fortune had depleted, abruptly I was self-centered for not offering him another opportunity. I considered responding, but halted. I was indebted to them nothing. Instead, I rose, brewed tea, and went to employment, where, for the initial time in my life, nobody minded my surname. Only my capabilities. That day, I disabled alerts permanently. But the contacts persisted. And the following one altered all. I attempted to proceed, but my relatives refused to release. Every ignored contact was substituted with another, first furious, then begging, then frantic. When Liam eventually left a note requesting to convene, just us, no issues, I nearly erased it. But something in his tone, defeated, exhausted, prompted me to consent. We convened in a calm cafe, the same style I used to bypass when I couldn't purchase even a brew. He appeared nothing like the favored son my parents supported for years. Absent was the arrogant grin, the simple assurance. He sat opposite me, palms shaking. "I'm remorseful," he uttered, scarcely audible. "I know you doubt it, but I truly was unaware what occurred to you. They always claimed you were enjoying some grand existence, that you departed because you sought greater. I never grasped what I received. I remained silent at first." He required to sense the burden of it. He continued, tone breaking, "All they provided me, your bedroom, your vehicle, your education fund, I assumed it was standard. But now? Nothing succeeds. Every position, I fail to maintain. I never acquired how. Mom and Dad continue insisting you'll assist, that it's family duty, but I don't even recognize myself without them. For the initial time, I viewed it plainly. Their favored child was nothing beyond the realm they'd created for him. Every backup had become a dependency, and now he was faltering, confused, and unstable, while I'd been compelled to master sprinting. I inhaled deeply. "Liam, all you possessed was granted. All I possess, I had to acquire. I endured because I must, because no one else arrived. That's the distinction. And that's why I succeeded." He glanced up, eyes glistening with moisture. "How do you begin anew?" I shook my head softly. "You perform the effort. All of it. And you perform it for your own sake this time." I rose, sensing lighter than in years. "I wish you discover it, Liam. But I can't support you. Not now, not ever." He acknowledged, and for the initial time, I believe he truly comprehended. When I departed the cafe, I didn't sense fury or sorrow anymore, just liberated. My parents didn't accept the update well. "How could you desert your sibling? You've always been self-centered. Now see, our relatives are destroyed, and it's your blame." But I perceived the reality. They weren't upset that I thrived. They were frightened that the son they'd risked all on, who they stole from me to bolster, was adrift without their ongoing aid. Liam moved from position to position, incapable of maintaining anything firm. The world didn't mind his surname, or what he'd been provided. For the initial time, he was merely another grown-up attempting to endure, and he was facing difficulties. Me? I shifted into a small dwelling of my own. Every item of decor, every payment, every milestone mine because I acquired it. I formed bonds that resembled relatives. I discovered pleasure in minor aspects, in the liberty of knowing I didn't owe anyone my accomplishments. At employment, I grew recognized for supporting the overlooked, the trainees who labored late, the fresh employees who were ignored, the silent ones who merely required an opportunity. I once believed relatives was something you endured for. Now, I realize it's something you select. The individuals who appear for you, honor your victories, and provide room for your struggles, they're the true value in life. As for my parents? They continued fabricating tales, faulting me for Liam's difficulties, for the separation in the relatives. But their influence was lost. They couldn't seize anything more from me. Liam still contacts occasionally, just to converse. He's acquiring gradually, agonizingly, what it entails to begin from nothing. Perhaps he'll arrive, perhaps he won't. But that's his path now, not mine to repair. Sometimes the favored child only gleams in a home full of darkness. In the actual world, you discover who is truly valuable and who is merely coded that way. If you're reading this, sensing like you'll never flee their darkness, persist. You can create your own brightness. And if you've discovered your circle, your genuine relatives, cherish them tightly. That's what truly counts. Thanks for hearing, Reddit. Share your tale if you've ever endured the favored child, conflict, or had to restart with nothing. We're all united in this, and the greatest retribution is existing liberated.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a twist. Stay tuned to Reddit Tales Times for your daily dose of drama, laughs, and unbelievable stories.